Welcome to another episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. When we left our brave investigators, they were in a mysterious farmhouse at Baldwin Farm. And things were not quite as they would seem. They discovered that this strange farm, covered in a haze of mist, was a place they could not actually escape from. Trying to get out of the mist only led them back to the farmhouse. Inside, they met the strange servant, Manson, and, after taking a quick tour of the house, discovered there's a library upstairs. But it is locked by a strange locking mechanism that has a mosaic that is missing a piece. Our investigators determined they were going to have to do a little exploration to get to the bottom of this and hopefully make it in. But they tried to better arm themselves and prepare for facing the Vasan they believe they may be encountering. The Neck. Julian, in a quest to find a steel knife, only found some really nice silverware and flatware. Oh, and also a bottle of arsenic tucked in the back of a cupboard. That's probably fine. I mean, don't we all have a little arsenic in our cupboards?
Yeah, it's a little something something.
Yeah, it gives it a little spice.
You never know when you're going to need it.
I like to always stock my arsenic with my old lace, but that's just me. Alright, so we left off. Sofie had just come inside after hearing a mysterious voice call out to her from the mist. Dr. Jensen was standing in the kitchen, and Julian had just uncovered, after pushing aside some canned food and some spices, that bottle of arsenic. Ire is in the kitchen with you. What are you going to do?
I'm going to turn to Ire. I am going to have one hand on the bottle of arsenic, and I am going to have my other hand on the pistol, not drawn, but I just hold up the bottle of arsenic. Explain.
Explain what, young man? What might that be?
I toss it over to him.
Oh.
Ani takes it very gingerly.
I believe this was from the workshop upstairs. I had misplaced it at some point.
In your kitchen?
Oh, I'm afraid my mind tends to wander some. I may have been doing some work on a project and carried this down here with me.
I nod slowly at him. I'm going to back up slightly over to Dr. Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to kind of whisper, hey, Doc, the things he's describing, is that a symptom of arsenic exposure, or is this something else?
That's a good question.
Well, my vest...
Because I know Bill knows the answer to that.
Right.
Oh, of course, just off the dome. On account of Bill's extensive knowledge about arsenic.
Exactly right.
Bill, why do you know so much about arsenic? Is there something you want to tell us?
My lawyer has advised me not to comment on the matter.
Would you like to make a learning test? And given your high medicine score, would you like to take a +2 bonus on that?
Yes, I absolutely would.
Ew.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
Well,
love to see it.
brutal.
So out of 8 dice, got nothing.
Bill?
Yes, I am.
Do you wanna?
Yeah,
Do you want to push that roll?
I kind of do. I really do.
Real quick, I don't suppose this is, medicine, of course, is not Julian's specialty here. Can I add any help to that?
How many ranks of medicine do you have?
1.
There's probably not much that Julian would be able to add.
Fair enough. It's 1 more than I have in stealth.
noting this for later.
Slightly better. 1 success out of 8 dice.
Okay.
Starting off strong.
Give me just a second, because I, of course, dear listener, definitely have all the symptoms of arsenic poisoning just off the dome and don't need to go look them up.
Hey, you're the one who put arsenic in the game, buddy.
I will be taking the mental condition of frightened because I am now concerned about our...
About possibly ingesting arsenic?
that and just the well-being of our, what now might be addled host.
That is fair. So, the short-term symptoms of arsenic poisoning are generally going to be abdominal pain. Let me try that one again.
Abominable pain!
You know what? Accurate. Abominable, abdominal, pain. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Vomiting, arrhythmia, and shortness of breath.
Abominable vomiting.
Abominable vomiting.
That's a way shorter list of side effects than you hear for most modern medication.
That's true. That's true.
So clearly this is healthy.
Well, given significant arsenic exposure, you don't tend to have long-term effects.
No side effects, no long-term side effects, no long-term.
Guaranteed non-addictive.
Also that.
Did I mention my empathy score is 0?
Oh, man.
You know, I think it's come up once or twice. Now, you know that there are other types of poisons that could lead to kind of erratic memory or erratic personality behavior. Things like lead exposure could potentially do that.
He's been licking the paint.
Yep, who hasn't? However, arsenic probably wouldn't do that. That would lead to more frailty of body if there was kind of long-term, short, small dose exposure.
Okay. Yeah, I will kind of whisper back to Julian. It's minor doses wouldn't lead to this only just memory loss. It'd be a much more broader deterioration, and honestly, it's hard just to have minor doses. You need too much of to put someone down.
I nod at you. I look back over to Ire, and my eyes go wide as I suddenly remember that I prepared a charcuterie board not too long ago in this kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably something better suited to my colleagues, so once again, I will kind of point over towards the charcuterie plate. Hey, Doc, would you mind, just as a precaution, can you check out? Can you tell? Would you be able to tell if that was laced or spiked at all?
Now, are you having this conversation in front of Ire Manson?
I'm having it in front of him, insofar as we haven't left the room.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to be somewhat subtle about it. I'm not certainly saying this at normal speaking voice, but I mean, he would be able to see me kind of having a subtle conversation out the side of my mouth with Dr. Jensen.
Mm-hmm. He is going to kind of politely excuse himself and is going to return this bottle upstairs where it belongs.
I don't think I want him to leave.
Okay. Do you kind of move to stop him?
I will, and I will. Hand is off of the gun, but I will put the hand out. Hold on just a moment, if you would, please.
And just checking in, what is Sofie doing? As she's kind of come in from outside, there's a little bit of a commotion happening in the kitchen.
She will go in the kitchen and stress eat some charcuterie.
Fantastic.
I'm kidding.
I mean, that's one way to investigate it, I suppose.
As Julian and Dr. J just like stare at her for a minute, like, is she gonna die? Is she gonna die? Oh no, she's okay. Okay, we're fine.
More than one way to investigate the food, I suppose. I mean, hey.
The whole time you're like, is there a way to know? And I'm like, well, you eat one, and then you know.
From my vast, expertise with arsenic, I know that it has no taste or smell. So you're right. This is really the best way to find out.
That part is true.
I mean, at what point did I come within earshot of them? Because I think I would have been, going to catch up with them, intending to catch up with them, and probably tell them that there are things in the mist that either are targeting me or that just, reach out to people that are out there to try to get them to come in. So
you got in just as Julian was like, whoa, let's have you just stay right here.
Okay. So does it sound like they're about to come out?
You kind of see like Julian and Dr. Jensen kind of blocking the doorway a little bit.
Oh, I see.
And a confused old man in a cap holding a jar of arsenic looks back and forth between the three of you.
I don't understand. I thought you wanted me to bring this upstairs safely.
Perhaps in a moment. And yeah, I'll just kind of again motion for either Dr. Jensen or now if Sofie is in the room, just kind of motion over again to the charcuterie board. And yeah, would you mind just taking a quick peek?
I'll take a look, but I'm not confident we'll be able to ever tell.
I put my hand on your shoulder. I'm confident in you, Dr. J.
I think that Sofie doesn't have any like medical knowledge about it, but she does read a lot and she writes dirty novels. And I think that she would perhaps have a little bit of secondhand knowledge or anecdotal or possibly true or untrue knowledge from like mystery books and stuff, and like her Sherlock Holmes that she's reading and different types of stuff like that. And so she would think, because Aaron thinks that a lot of times arsenic is used as a poison, but isn't arsenic a lot of times used like over time to poison somebody?
It can be. Basically, if you want it to look natural, you would do it in small doses over time.
Right.
If you wanted to just off someone, you could put a larger amount in food.
Okay, so I'm just going to go over to I'm just going to like pick up a piece of cheese and eat like...
Teeny tiny bit.
Yeah, not like a nibble, like a small bite, like a half-inch little nibble of cheese.
I shoot you a very quizzical glance as you do this, but you are the expert, so I'm not challenging you on it.
Julian, don't worry. I've eaten so many horrible versions of cheese that I've made. You have no idea. Probably worse, more poisonous than arsenic. It's really, I think it's fine.
Julian nods along and makes a mental note never to accept food from Sofie for the rest of his life.
No, she doesn't ever give other people that. She eats it herself. That's why she knows.
And that's what all the goats at the farm are for.
Right. Yeah. The pigs and the goats will eat anything.
Lucius will look over to Julian and then look back at Sofie. Go, all right, well, we'll find out one way or another. He'll put his medical bag up on the table just next to it and then pull out the bottle of liquor. I need that too. And then we'll just wait to see how Sofie reacts.
Can I at least get you 3 chairs?
Would you like a chair, Ire?
I wouldn't dream of sitting before the 3 of you were made comfortable.
Can we go sit in like the dining room where all the
maybe let's go sit in the hall.
Chairs and stuff are. Yeah, the hall.
Yeah, let the old man sit down.
And he brings his bottle of arsenic with him.
Just set it on the dining table. That's a normal thing to do. It's fine.
You sit in the dining room for a little bit. You hear kind of the occasional patter of a little bit of water from down the hall where some of those windows have broken. There's the light creak of the house occasionally just settling a little bit. He doesn't really have much conversation to make, so he's just kind of looking over at the 3 of you.
As soon as everybody is starting to be like, okay, it's fine, Sofie will absolutely like clutch her stomach and like fall over onto the table, like convulsing.
Lucius will immediately jump up and go to see.
And I will immediately draw steel on ire. Explain yourself.
And then Sofie will like she'll bang on the table and start laughing and get up. It's fine.
What the actual fuck? Well, I've now got a gun pointed at Ire, and I have asked him to explain himself. So I look over to Sofie. I am just staring, if only they were steel daggers, over towards you. What the fuck? Are you okay?
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit keyed up because I haven't had a chance to tell you what happened outside and all of this stuff with my... Do you understand what it means if my stepfather could have come here? It's really...
Hold on. Is the food poisoned or not?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Lucius will just kind of like look at her, like just kind of look at her pupils.
Yeah, she seems fine.
He'll then just pull out his flask, just shake his head.
Pardon me, young man. Could I ask that you stop pointing the gun at me now?
I immediately sheath or holster the pistol. It's a gun blade. It's fine.
Yeah.
And he just lets out a long sigh and his shoulders kind of sink and he's like, oh.
I apologize, Master Ire. And I just take a long exhale. I apologize, Master Ire. If you would like to go put away your arsenic, please. I apologize.
I can see that clearly the three of you have been through quite a bit of struggle. There's a great deal of tension about you. If you would like to rest, certainly feel free to help yourselves to the bunk rooms and make yourselves comfortable here as you can.
I had one question, Ire. Is there any rope? We were thinking of further exploring the grounds, but the mist is quite thick, so we thought perhaps we would lay a trail to make sure we didn't, walk around in circles, so to speak.
Ah, yes, quite wise, like Theseus.
Exactly.
I'm afraid there is no rope here in the house, but you may be able to find some in the barn.
Yeah. Well, one has to traverse a bit of mist to get to the barn, but we'll see what we can do.
Of course. Is there anything I can get for you all?
I shake my head.
I think we're good. Thank you so much, Ire. I'm sorry if I caused you distress.
Well, I did nearly get shot. That would have been distressing.
You just see Julian's jaw is just clenched right now with this, but he's like, I apologize, Master Ire. Please accept my apologies. My mistake entirely. I'm glad I didn't shoot you.
I am as well, young man. I am as well.
And he kind of gets up on shaky legs, and he heads out of the room. You see that he did leave the bottle of arsenic on the table. He'll probably find it later. All right, so the three of you are left in the dining room with a bottle of arsenic and no befuddled old man. What you gonna do?
I'm gonna throw away the charcuterie tray.
Yes, I think that's wise.
Wasteful. Please remove it from your inventory, Mr. No Fun.
But Phoenix can still Julian can still make things with his little, his easy bake oven, his travel easy bake oven.
His field kitchen.
It's an easy bake oven.
And now he has a new jar of arsenic.
I was
going to say, if one of you want to take the arsenic, you can.
That is all yours, Dr. Jensen. It's not coca wine. What am I going to do with it?
True.
So I will obviously let them know what I encountered outside and that I don't because it waited until I was alone, I wouldn't have trusted it in the first place, but I doubly don't trust it because it waited until I was alone to try to get me to come into the mist by myself. And it obviously seems to defeat the purpose of using rope as a trail if we have to go out into the mist to get the rope. Do you guys have any other ideas about how we might mark our trail? Not that I know that would actually work.
Well,
I glance over to the thrown away charcuterie. It's not breadcrumbs, but could work.
Oh, that's a good point.
do we want to go straight into exploring the mists, or do you want to try looking at maybe the buildings that at least we can see and check to see if there might be
Oh,
anything there first?
Sofie pulls the letter out of her jacket pocket.
Uh-huh.
Uh, when Sofie does that, Dr. Jensen will kind of move to the door and kind of push the crack open just to
Yeah,
we can hear to see if the old man's coming back down the stairs.
yeah.
Very well. So Dr. Jensen is keeping a lookout. Oh, actually, one small clarification for you, Aaron.
Mhm.
This was the letter in the outbox, not in the inbox. So this was a letter from Baldwin Farm.
Oh.
All right, you're opening it?
Yeah, I'm going to open it, but I'm going to attempt, like, I assume it's sealed with wax.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to attempt to heat, like, my penknife or, like, a hairpin or something in a candle and, like, go underneath the wax so that I hopefully leave it open to, like, reseal it if I need to.
Sounds good. And I will share that handout. Could you read this to the players?
I could. Dear Ars Magus, Jacques Houdin, I write to let you know that the hour is nearly upon us. While I have completed the alchemical preparations needed at no small personal expense, it shall be more than worth it to see the faces of the members of our august brotherhood when I walk our halls with a greater spirit upon a leash. For too long we have grown stagnant and haven't striven for more. I will admit your rites and rituals have been impressive as first steps, yet we can and must do more if we are to end the threat of the Vasen to our world. We need not content ourselves with lesser beings. We can suborn even the greatest of them to our will with rune and rod and mask. The feats I have successfully completed in my laboratory would shock even you. The next time you travel to Baldwin Farm, you must come down into the cellar and see what we have achieved. My research has shown, and the rest of the letter's ink is washed out. Okay. Okay. So there's a cellar, guys.
You mean to tell me that this man captured a Vasen? Did he capture a neck? Is that what we're in?
It would make so much sense because it seemed so strange for these things to be seemingly set to entrap something rather than repel something, and to strip its power rather than necessarily drive it away and kill it.
Do we know where the cellar is on the farm, or do we risk asking Ire and tipping him off?
I feel that he would probably forbid us from entering.
Lucius kind of looked at Julian. You think it's worth a look? Should we go?
I'm just going to look under this table here that's in the hallway. Do I see a trap door under the table?
So Phoenix.
Yes, Brian.
Julian lifts up the tablecloth, leans slowly down. Nothing under there.
Well, it's not here.
I think we'll have to investigate. It could be, the entrance could be outside the house.
Oh, like a storm cellar.
Yeah. or it could be in the kitchen somewhere. Julian, did you notice anything in the kitchen? Or Dr. I haven't spent much time in there.
Yes, I noticed a bottle of arsenic in the kitchen.
Besides the very traumatic bottle of arsenic, yes.
A lot of silver. Lots of silver. And no steel.
If we're looking for something made of steel, should we go look in? There was a barn here, wasn't there? Should we look in there?
There is a barn, but so Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the barn was like visible, but there's some smoke, there's some fog between us and that.
So there is some mist in between you and the barn, but it's not nearly as thick as what you were walking through before.
So we don't think we're going to get...
So in game terms, you won't get a random encounter going through there. Also, Bill, can I get a vigilance test from you?
Oh, God.
I mean, I suppose. That would be 7 dice, but I have one mental condition, so that's 6. And 1 success on 6 dice.
All right, that is going to be enough. You can hear the creak of floorboards as Ira Munson is kind of moving around upstairs. And you can hear him kind of pause on the landing for a minute before moving further on kind of moving around upstairs again.
But does not sound like he's coming downstairs.
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
So what are you all going to do?
I'm going to ask a question of my GM.
Yeah.
Just looking at the map that we have on Roll20. So the stairs up to the second floor, is the idea there that we go out the door in the hallway, and then that's just over on our right, or is that also connected to the hall?
So that is actually connected to the hall. There's
Okay.
just not a door that kind of blocks that. So the stairs kind of just wrap up and around.
Wait, so the stairs are connected to the hallway, not the hall?
That is correct.
Okay. And what was this room?
That is not a room.
Or it's not labeled as one, but we can't see that as characters.
Would Sofie have noticed when she was going down the hall that the office was only yay big and there's a big missing space? Let me roll for it, Brian. Let me roll for it. You know you want to.
Nope.
Uh-huh. You can't go in that room yet. It doesn't really exist, except it does. Okay. Dr. J, when you look out the door there, can you see, is there any sort of a door underneath the stairs that could perhaps lead to the cellar? We weren't really looking for that before. I don't remember what it looks like.
I mean, I will just go out and examine the stairs.
Mm-hmm. So the stairway kind of wraps up and around, kind of turning so that you can't quite see up to the landing from where you are down here. But there's not a spot where you would have like a kind of sideboard or anything like that in the stairs.
So if Sophie's kind of waiting in the doorway, or I'll kind of shake my head back. If not, I'll come back into the hall and just, no, I don't. Doesn't seem like there's another way down to a lower level from, at least that I can see.
We may have to... Does it make more sense to look outside first, or should we search the rooms that we know down here and see if we find any trapdoors or entrances?
Well, if we look outside, I don't necessarily think we need to worry about getting lost in the mist, because we'll be just next to the building, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
sure.
Before we talk about going outside, Sofie, what exactly did you see or hear over there? You said you heard something. Is it even...
I heard what could have been an attempt at my mother's voice calling to me in her mother tongue.
Did you answer her?
I did not. I ignored it because it waited until I was alone. If it had been legitimate, it could have, whoever it was could have called any time that we were outside. So
what you're saying then is that there is something out there that is trying to separate you from the rest of us.
either separate me or separate whoever can be gotten alone. I don't know that it was necessarily waiting for me. It could have been. It could be just me, or it could be if one of you had strayed behind, it would have said something for you instead. I don't know.
I don't expect that this is going to do anything, GM, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to walk out the front door, not very far, like just, get outside, and I will close it most of the way behind myself, still leaving it, slightly ajar. I'm just can I see, can I hear anything out there?
As you kind of stand in silence for just a little bit, you can definitely start to hear little noises. There's a little splash of water. You see there's a lot of puddles all over the ground, some pretty thick with algae and weeds and lily pads. You hear the occasional, flutter of bird wings. You hear the occasional, sound of something moving amongst the bushes. There's the croak of toads. So there are definitely sounds. It doesn't sound like everything's dead outside, but you don't hear anyone, moving around.
For those of our listeners who are keeping tabs on when we have toads in an episode, we do have Toad in this episode. Just wanted to point that out.
And you know what that means. It's time for some toad hating on Maine.
Brian is about to lay down some hate.
Always.
Hello, dear listeners! It's your favorite editor, Hannah. Brian wasn't able to make it in for this ad read since he's traveling in the wilds of Alaska, apparently trying to get Sasquatch to sign on to appear as a guest for an upcoming episode. Brian should be back for our next guest spot, though, as long as he doesn't crash into the snow while traveling by dog sled. Speaking of a snow crash, I'd like to tell you about a new show you will want to check out called Cybertopia. It's another actual play podcast hosted by the delightful Ben Newbon, where a group of professional, quote-unquote, troubleshooters work for a shadowy mega-corporation in a cyberpunk dystopia. Even better, they use an entirely unique role-playing game system that Ben created. We have included links in our show notes to both the Cybertopia podcast and their RPG on itch.io. Give them a listen.
Cybertopia is back, and it's going punk. And after the corpos threw them under the bus, our former Amazing Corps agents are trying to make sense of it all and find their place in the world once more.
Last thing I remember, the op was going fine, and then everything exploded.
So, it's time to recover.
I mean, hey, so far I've been hungover, beaten up, stole food, had an hour and a half hike, drugged myself half to death, got zapped half back to life. Everything's fine.
Rebuild.
Well, I could dispense eggs again, but the lemonade dispenser is doing steak sauce.
And reconnect with friends, old and new.
Well, look what the trash brought in.
Fortunately, though, not everything has been lost.
The tea dispenser still works.
Search for Cybertopia AP anywhere you find your podcasts.
This is one of those things that I'm trying to decide if it's in character for Julian. It's something that I kind of want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to leave this to the
run off into the mist,
to the dice to determine here. Hey GM, I'll let you do this. Low or high? High. I'm just going to roll a D100. It's an 8. That means I am not going and just running for the barn.
And I cannot stress, by high, I meant a high 8.
Oh, in that case.
He thought you were saying out of 10, Phoenix, so you thought you were going to roll a
That's
D10,
the one, yeah.
and so...
Instead of running off to the barn, Julian sachets off to the barn.
You know what? YOLO. And
Go for it.
I'm just going to.
Tonight is a night when we don't give a shit if our characters are in character or not.
So Julian, as I am outside, and again, I've kind of got the door just slightly ajar behind me. I'm listening. I'm looking. I don't see anything out there, and I'm just thinking to myself, we maybe we tried to get through the mist. It didn't work. Sofie said there's going to be rope in the barn. We need it, and maybe I can find a damn knife in the barn. And I am just going to book it for the barn.
Okay.
Like straight out of the hall, just.
Like
heads down the front porch.
Yeah.
Kind of stands outside for a minute, and then just starts running.
Yep. And no, I did not tell you guys about this.
So Sofie and Dr. J, the pair of you just hear like some splashing from outside.
I mean, especially knowing that something tried to lure me away when I was alone outside, I will immediately go after him.
Dr. Jensen, you watch Sofie quickly just rush out the front door. What are you doing?
I was not expecting you guys to follow. I was just going to book it for the barn, but it's all good.
No bard left behind.
Well, I will take a nip of my flask.
Sigh heavily.
Yep. gather the medicine bag and the liquor that I put down on the kitchen, and then slowly go out after them. I'm assuming he's going to the barn.
Seems like a reasonable guess.
Because I believe the barn is the next largest building next to the house, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then yeah,
I do want to point out that we are playing the game Vossen, in which many times there are illusions and things that one character can hear and another cannot. So really, there's no way for us to know that someone didn't whisper to Julian, "Hey, your XYZ person that you care about is out in the barn. You have to come and save him." And we didn't hear it. There's literally no way for us to know that that's not what happened.
I still think you're under the effects of arsenic poisoning.
Arsenic poisoning makes you act like a dumbass? Is that what we're...
Dr. Jensen is just thinking he did not bring enough liquor for this.
Has he ever?
No.
So Julian is kind of running towards the barn, and he was sure it was pretty close. But it seems like the distance is actually much further than he expected.
The camera's doing that thing where it zooms in and out at the same time.
Just under my breath, fuck.
And as you are running, you suddenly realize there are two shapes in the mist behind you.
Fuck.
Do you just run faster?
I just run faster.
So the pair of you, Sofie and Lucius, just barely see Julian in the distance, suddenly just swearing and running as fast as he can go.
I can't run any faster. There's 300 pounds of me with these books.
I'm pretty sure I got a better force than definitely Sofie. I don't know how Dr. J's is.
Yeah, you probably do. But as Dr. Jensen's running with Sofie behind, and he just sees Julian run ahead, he makes a mental note of next time that if we're doing this next time, he's just going to wait at the hall front door and just test the theory that you guys just circle back around and meet back up with.
There you go. Work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the fact that Julian was running so much faster, he actually only arrives at the barn a couple of seconds before Dr. Jensen and Sofie do. Something seems strange about the distance. As you're walking, the mists seem to kind of thicken, and this large building that initially seemed only maybe 100 feet away is suddenly further and further. The muddy and swampy ground beneath your feet becomes more and more difficult as you're trotting over half-drowned plants and through what once might have been a small vegetable garden. now submerged beneath stagnant, ankle-deep waters. Thankfully, the barn itself is on a rise, so you're able to get out of that water and damp. It's maybe 15 or 20 feet tall. It clearly was once painted red, but almost all of that paint has peeled away, leaving soggy and half-rotted wood beneath. The doors to the barn are 10 feet tall, and once had a trim of white paint that now only lingers in some of the inner corners. Droplets of water collect from the mist and slowly run down the door frame. Suddenly, just as Sofie and just as Dr. Jensen step out of the mist behind you, a crash echoes from inside the barn, sending a spray of water, moss, and paint chips flying at you. Then another, and another, as if something massive and powerful were smashing into the building's walls. Just as suddenly as it began, it stops. There's a dreadful moment of silence, and the barn doors swing open. Within, you can just barely spot the flickering of candlelight. There are no signs of what could have been causing that terrible crashing that you heard just a few moments ago.
What the hell is going on? What could have caused that? Lucius will kind of turn to Sofie, just hoping she might have some
Julian,
sort of...
to your surprise, you hear your companions right behind you.
Exactly thinking that. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So as Julian hears this just incredible crash and commotion, his heart has leapt up into his throat as all of that is going on, and then suddenly I hear Dr. Jensen right behind me. He should not be that close, and at that point, I think I probably literally do jump. It's like the cat that you threw
Cat
the
with a cucumber.
Yep. And I am just like, I'm not drawing the weapon, but I'm like in this just exaggerated, almost comical, like martial arts pose. Like, just like, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, and then I just see the two of you. And I'm like, don't sneak. How did...
I can assure you I don't naturally run as fast as you, so it's something about this place I never would have caught up.
What the fuck?
Are you all going to head inside the barn?
Obs.
So we saw the candlelight. Was there did we see figures? We didn't see any like people or figures inside at all.
Nope.
Just the candlelight.
There's nothing moving inside of there. But it sounded like an elephant was crashing around. Not that you know what an elephant is, but you can imagine.
Gut grinder, is that you?
No answers.
I am going to bust out the hurricane lantern, not because any mechanic has popped up that requires that, but because it's fucking dark. And creepy.
You step inside the barn. Everything smells musty. There are bales of hay that are covered in a kind of light coating of mildew. There are rows of horse stalls that stand open. Some of the gates to those stalls are very gently swinging back and forth. There is a loft up in the second floor of the barn with a ladder that could be reached up to it. At the far end of the barn is a lit lantern that hangs from a nail on the wall, providing a little bit of sparse illumination. Straining your ears for just a moment, you can hear kind of a ruffling sound, like birds kind of shifting and moving around coming from that loft. Can I get a vigilance test? And your hurricane lantern will not help with this vigilance test.
Ah.
Is there any debris or any like hay, dust, or anything on the ground that we might be able to look at to get an idea of what might have been banging up against the the barn?
I'll give you this one for free. There is hay all over the ground in here.
Mm-hmm.
None of it is disturbed like something was large and crashing around.
Even more.
It looks like nothing has been walking around in here.
Okay. So big boom, no reason why.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Of course you wouldn't.
With vigilance being a logic check, that is not my strength, so I have 0 success on 3 dice.
Well, with 6 dice, Dr. Jensen got 1 success.
On 5 dice, Sofie got 1 success.
Okay. So the pair of you kind of take a moment. Julian is able to hear that kind of ruffling of feathers and an occasional small, bird sound coming from the loft. But Sofie and Dr. Jensen listen just a little harder and are just barely able to hear a soft weeping coming from the hayloft.
You had mentioned that there is a ladder that might be within reach.
Mm-hmm.
Lucius will go over to... Will slowly come in after Sofie, and you hear that, right? Sounds like there might be someone here.
I do.
So he'll go over to the ladder, and if he can pull it down from within his reach, he'll do that. If he needs to boost Julian up to grab it, he'll...
Oh, it goes straight from the floor all the way up.
Oh, okay. So when you sounded like you could grab, it sounded like you needed to... It was out... It could go to the ground.
Like a fire escape ladder or something,
Yeah,
you had to pull it down.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this one's already propped up so that you could easily climb up.
Okay. Then, kind of look at Julian and Sofie. Sounds like someone's up there.
Wait, what?
It was faint, but...
So Lucius will kind of motion Julian over and the ladder and just listen to see if he can maybe hear it. If not, he'll just I heard a whimpering from coming up in the loft.
I am not even going to attempt to listen over there. I'm trusting you on this one. And just hearing this and everything that's going on, my initial reason for coming here was to find rope and a knife. Do I see either of them in this lower area of the barn?
Give me an investigation test.
Ah, crap. That's even worse than my vigilance, so I'm at a -1 penalty here, so this will be on 2 dice.
You got this.
I did get 1 success on 2 dice.
All right, fair enough. I try and throw you some curveballs occasionally.
I appreciate you, Brian. I'm glad that I'm not back where I was at the beginning of our campaign, because oh my god, that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're good. We're good.
All right, so put a pin in that for just a half second.
Okay.
Aaron, what is Sofie doing? You see Julian is kind of searching around. Dr. Jensen is starting to climb up a ladder.
So is Dr. J actually climbing the ladder, or is he just we're commiserating to see what we're going to do?
I got the sense he was climbing up.
Well, so to answer that real quick, question for our lovely GM.
Mm-hmm.
The whimpering you said, did it sound vaguely humanoid or like a person?
As far as you could tell.
Then, yeah, Dr. Jensen would likely be looking to head up the ladder. If it sounded like a person that was up there that might need help.
Yeah, and you kind of give it a little bit of a test just to make sure it can take your weight, and this ladder seems very sturdy.
Then I'm going to just stand right behind him and hold up the lantern. And I don't know that I would want to get on the ladder at the same time as him, given that everything here is kind of decrepit. But as soon as he gets up to the top, I will come up right after him and hold up the lantern to look.
Okay, and leave Julian on the first floor.
Why do you got to say it like that?
Because that's what you're doing.
Why?
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I didn't hear anything.
We're taking a tactical advantage overhead.
There's a lantern on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
All right.
So I tell myself.
So Dr. Jensen makes it up to the top. And Sofie follows after him.
I do, but I'm going to stay on the ladder. Like, I'm going to stay, kind of the top rungs of the ladder and just hold up the lantern for Dr. J.
Perfect.
Because I imagine the loft is not huge. We probably don't both need to get up there anyway.
It takes up about half the space up on that second floor.
Okay.
So it's designed as a hayloft.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it at one point was used as such. Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
You, because you succeeded on your investigation check, get to make a decision.
Oh.
Julian is kind of searching around. He's looking for rope and a steel knife. You find some rope. There's a big coil of some sturdy rope. So you got that. You're searching around for a knife. You head towards one of those horse stalls. And as you're walking past, from just the corner of your eye, you see something. You think that there's a body in that stall. The choice you get to make is whether or not you go and take a look at it.
I didn't hear whatever they heard upstairs. Dr. Jensen told me about it. I believe that he heard it.
Yeah, and even straining to listen, you couldn't hear anything.
I'm going to pause, and I'm just going to call out, like in the direction of the ladder. Got a body down here.
Oh, nuts.
Dr. J, you had just gotten to the top, and as you're up there, it takes your eyes a second to adjust, because it's much darker up there than it is down where Sofie and that other lantern were. And you spot a little bit of movement. And as you look, you realize, perched across some of the beams near the roof of this barn, right up in the loft, are a dozen ravens, all staring down at you, kind of shuffling together and shaking their feathers off.
Well, that's unsettling.
Do I see this too, or not yet?
As you get up to the top, you're able to see that.
Do I know of any Boston that has an association to ravens or something like that?
Can I get a vigilance test from the two of you?
Oh boy.
The number of successes you need is very high.
No,
And yes,
Brian!
your lantern will work.
That's so mean.
You can add your lantern bonus.
That was 0 successes on 7 dice.
Excellent.
Oof.
Holy shit. Don't worry. He's got this.
Oh, thank God.
Dear listener, that is a resounding 4 successes on 6 dice.
Bill, would you like to push that roll?
What?
Holy shit.
No.
Okay.
He did say very high, but damn.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, would you like to push that roll?
No, there's no way I'm going to beat 4.
I mean, it's possible.
You never know.
No.
You take a second, you're kind of staring at these ravens, Bill. Something is just a little bit off, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is. There's just something weird there. Before you can figure it out, you're distracted because you hear that weeping again. Followed by a light click, 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 click. And you spot, huddled up amongst these hay bales in the far corner of the loft, what looks like a person. All kind of curled up on themselves. Dr. Jensen takes one step forward and then hears from downstairs, "We got a body down here."
Motherfucking shit. Balls.
I'm gonna try and without me breaking my vision towards the figure,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to turn away, either to be attacked or something else. Wave like one arm or something to get Sofie to point
Mm-hmm.
the hurricane lantern towards the figure. Sofie, your lantern.
Bill, would I have you thrown out of a hayloft?
Yes.
Yeah, what kind of question is that?
Emphatically,
Come on.
yes.
Yeah, they're right, Brian.
I love you guys. You know me so well. So you get your lantern light up, and you're able to see this figure. It's a priest in a black cassock with a very frayed white collar, hay stuck in his hair and beard. What are the three of you going to do?
Dr. Jensen, is this... Do you think this could be the man that came through that...
Maybe. Call down to Julian, let him know there's someone up here.
Julian, there's a live body up here as opposed to your dead body. If you could... Maybe that one will stay where it is, and you would like to come and confer with us about what's going on up here?
I call back. Yeah, give me just one moment. And with that, I still am. Julian has it in his head. I need to find a knife here. I know I can't find one inside of the house. So if there is anything in here that I could use, maybe it's a rusty saw. I don't know.
Pitchfork.
I don't know if I'll be able to sharpen that, but yeah, I still am actually going to try to stay focused on if I can find that knife.
Mm-hmm.
Does the priest look like he is like trying to cowering in terror? Is he kind of like a wild animal being backed into a corner? What kind of
Is he like glazed over, like he's kind of nuts, or?
He seems terrified. And the two of you are now close enough that you can start to hear him muttering to himself as he's clickering a rosary through his hands.
And is he bound, or is he just kind of...
Nope, just kind of like trying to make himself small amongst a hay bale.
Is he, when he is casting his scared eyes about, is he scared of us or is he scared of the ravens?
Neither. He is not casting his eyes about. He is staring at the rosary.
Okay.
So I will have Sofie stay back and just hold the lantern on him. I will try to slowly approach.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Father? Hello.
He doesn't respond to you.
I will inch closer till I'm about just outside of arm's length. So I want to give myself just enough of an opportunity to react if he lunges at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got plenty of room up here. Where he is, it's not like he could just throw you off the edge of this hayloft.
Not.
You keep mentioning that as a thing that's not going to happen, and yet...
I cannot stress, you are absolutely not going to get thrown off this hayloft unless it's by Sofie. It might happen by Sofie.
Sounds legit. Sounds legit.
I can't disagree with that last
Book
statement.
check.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I will. If he doesn't react when we by being close, I will kind of look over my shoulder at Sofie, and then I'll take one step forward and just try and put a hand on his shoulder, just to hello, Father or Sir. Try to just snap him out of it a little bit.
He kind of vaguely looks up at you. His eyes are sort of unfocused; they're bleary, and you just hear him muttering, "Sweet Lord Jesus, I'm in hell. I'm in hell. I'm trapped in hell."
Can I get him to stand up? Pick kind of.
So, Bill, can I get an inspiration test from you?
Oh.
The skill you're best at?
Yeah. I get. Oh.
Fucking priceless.
With your conditions, do you even get to roll any dice right now?
Yes, he does. He always gets one.
But then, and I have 2 empathy. I have 0 inspiration and 1 mental condition. I get 1 dice.
So you get a legit 1 die and not a pity die.
I feel like they're all pity die at this point.
Yeah, can I bestow one of mine as a pity dice on him?
No.
All right.
All right. Huzzah, dear listener. On 1 pity dice, I get 1 pity success.
He shoots.
It wasn't a pity die. You did this on your own.
You did it, buddy. Good job.
Y'all are unstoppable at this point.
I'm going to retire after this. This is it.
You've used all your 6s up, Bill. You don't have any more in the pool.
Man, I wish that required 2 successes just so I could say, do you want to push that? But you have succeeded. We're going to briefly cut away from Dr. Jensen, who's whispering some soft, comforting words, pulling things out of the old vault that he hasn't said in many a year.
No, he's doing his best Julian impression. He's sitting there going, like, what would Julian say? Like,
look at how pretty I am. Who could think they're in hell?
Have you ever seen a princess prettier than me?
Straight up, that is legit. That is legit.
Now, Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
Following your earlier example, where you had me call high or low, I am going to have you roll a D66.
Okay.
If you get a 44 or higher, you have successfully found an old steel knife.
You can do it, Phoenix. I believe in you.
No, that's a 12.
Oh.
So you find some broken pitchforks, you find some saw blades, but you don't think that would quite work. There are some tools in here, but they're so badly rusted. You think that if you were to even try and throw it into the ground like Sofie said you had to do, it would snap.
Is that a roll I can push?
No.
The good news is, Phoenix, that I'm pretty sure it's not really the neck we have to worry about here.
I don't know what we need to do. I'm just here to be pretty and find a knife.
And some rope, which you did.
And some rope. Man, I hate this. But what I'm gonna... Because it is well established, Julian does not like dealing with dead bodies.
Nope.
He really wants to find a knife. He's gonna frisk the body.
Okay. So Julian slowly pushes in that barn door, and he comes upon a terrible scene. And he was not prepared for this.
Oh no.
Because there's not a human body there. Pushed back in the back corner is the crumpled form of what looks like a very old man, but short, probably only about 2.5, 3 feet tall. He had a long white beard, a conical red hat, and in his chest is a heavy iron nail that looks like it was hammered directly into his heart. Spilled across the floor next to his hand is a bowl of porridge, which is rotted. Phoenix, can I get a fear test from you?
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, that is 0 success on 4 dice.
Now you could push this. However, if you do push it, you'll gain a mental condition.
Yeah.
If you don't push it, you'll gain a mental condition and you'll become terrified.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, but if I push the roll and fail a second time...
You also still get a mental condition. Yep.
Oh.
I'll throw this out there. You could just freeze in place.
Yeah, no, I recall.
Or you could flee into the mist. It'd be super cool if you did.
Brian, would you like me to do that?
I mean, I'm not going to say one way or another what you should do.
I mean,
no, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Definitely don't do that.
Like, I wouldn't do that, but if you really wanted me to...
No, we got to save something for the next episode.
I'm here for you, buddy. I'm here for you, buddy.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, this just doesn't feel like a role worth pushing for the risk here. So I will, shockingly, take the frightened condition, and I will freeze, and my freeze is kind of taking... It's not even a step, it's tripping backwards and just landing on my butt on the ground and just kind of trying to scramble away.
So Julian falls backwards. He's trying to scramble, but his hands just can't get any purchase. And he's left just for what feels like an eternity, staring into the dead eyes of Anissa.
Oh.
Do I hear him? Does he say anything?
These are happening kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you're paying closer attention to the priest and Dr. Jensen's amazing one die success, you probably won't hear Julian's sudden gasp and like scrambling on the floor. Do you want to be paying closer attention to Dr. Jensen, or do you want to be paying closer attention to...
So I was going to say, when like things started happening, but whenever Phoenix said there was a dead body, and before Dr. J found the body upstairs, I was about to set the lantern down, go back down the ladder, grab the lantern that was downstairs, the regular lantern, and go over to where Phoenix was, because my first thought was, I earlier had wanted to search the barn because I thought that maybe my stepdad had come through here and he was dead and he was buried / stowed in the barn. So I was like, I'm going to go look at whatever Julian has found. Then Dr. J finds the body in the loft, or the person in the loft.
I was going to say the living body.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of seems like he's taking care of it. Like he's got this up here, this guy, this priest. And he's,
Okay. So Sofie kind of makes it back down and sees Julian just seconds after he came stumbling backwards out of that barn door. His hands trying and struggling to gain purchase on the ground. His face just drained of color. His eyes wild.
Does he have the lantern that was down here, or is it just hanging somewhere?
It's just hanging on a wall. Yep.
I'll go grab it and then go over to Julian. I am kind of trying to keep an ear out for, not that that's my strong suit, for Dr. J, in case, the priest turns into like a blood-sucking tentacle monster or something.
Hang on, I gotta make a quick note. Yes, go on.
So yeah, I will go over to Julian and try to help him up.
Does Sofie look into that stall?
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
All right, make a fear test for me. Bill, I'm sorry to keep you waiting on this one success. We just got to keep the anticipation going.
All right, guys. Let's hope my dice do not fucking fail me.
Are you rolling the dice that I gave you? The look, dear listener. The fucking shade that was just thrown.
I am so scared of those dice, you guys. I can't. They're sitting right here, pride of place on my desk. But I don't actually touch them because they're cursed. Hey, that's 2 successes on 6 dice.
All right. Sofie kind of holds her shit together.
Per usual.
Yeah, per usual. It helps that she has the brave talent that gives her bonus dice to fear tests. And Yeah, you kind of look over this and immediately see porridge, a small man, a long white beard, a conical hat, a nail through the chest. This is a Nisa who was killed. The Nisa is a type of guardian spirit who protects the farmstead. They can be a little cantankerous and a little troublesome sometimes, but they are generally good-natured and will keep farms safe from dangers. To have a farm where a Nisa was killed is deeply...
Bad news.
Yeah. All right, now let's get back to Dr. Jensen. So, with all the gentle words that Julian Benavides would use if he was not on his butt scrambling in the ground, Dr. J is able to kind of talk this priest slowly out of it, slowly bringing him back to his senses. He actually briefly reflects. This was like what he saw Julian do with Sofie that one time. Managing to bring someone back from the brink. The priest stares at you with vaguely unfocused eyes. Oh, Lord Jesus, am I in hell?
No, you're in a barn loft.
He places a trembling hand on your wrist. Are you real, lad? Not some trick of the mist.
No. Here, and he will actually... This might help calm your nerves, and he'll give him hand out his flask to the father to take a drink.
There's my Dr. Jensen.
He takes a long pull from it and just kind of has a long sigh afterwards and then hands it back to you. Jesus, I'm sorry, lad. I was so shaken by everything that's been here.
Can you stand? What is your name?
My name's Father Xavier Duffy. I think I could stand.
All right, let's get you up, Father Duffy.
The legs are feeling a little shaky still.
So he'll try and extend a hand, trying to pull him to his feet.
He needs the help, but he's able to stand on his own power.
What's been going on here? Why are you hiding in this barn?
There's things that aren't right out there. I was traveling from Seattle up to Ballard. I was going to be working at one of the churches they were building there. But the mosquito boat we were on, it got lost in the mist. And our sailors and a few other passengers, we wandered around through that damnable mist until we found the farmhouse. By the time we did, only half of the people who started were with us. People seemed to just vanish. We met some older gentleman. Took us in, gave us some food, let us stay for the night.
Did he go by the name of Ire?
Yeah, that's the name. Have you been to the farmhouse, lad?
The main house, yes. We've been there. We've seen the servant.
Yeah. The other people who I was with, we went to sleep, and when I woke up, almost all of them were gone. It was just me and one other sailor. His name was Carl Yalbeck. Me and Carl, we tried to go and look for the other people who were missing, but we couldn't find them anywhere in the house. We go outside, and there's tracks in the mud going on down to the lake. Mark my words, don't go near that water. Carl, he said he heard something. Heard a voice. Walked out into the water. Must have got almost halfway up to his waist. Suddenly, something pulls him in. I ran down to check him, but I couldn't find him anywhere. All I could find amongst the reeds were hoof prints.
Did Carl say what the voice sounded like?
Nah, he just said he heard it. Heard a voice, he said.
That's concerning. One of my companions said she heard something from the mists, too. Are you well enough to climb down from the loft here?
Aye, I could do that.
I'll lead him back to the ladder. I'll kind of call down to Sofie and Julian. We're coming down. We're coming down.
He follows after you.
So we get down. I will check to make sure, I guess, Julian and Sofie are doing okay.
Julian has had enough time that he's kind of come back to his senses now. He's able to find a little composure and dust himself off.
I am dusting myself off, and you can probably hear me muttering, just, why am I always the one finding I've got a freaking doctor upstairs. Sofie digs this shit. Why is it always me?
I've dug around in his bag really quick where he keeps his Dom, and I pour him a little Dom and give it to him so he can calm down a little bit.
That's expensive.
As he drinks it.
Uh-huh.
As I absolutely drink it.
So yeah, I will come and introduce Julian to the father and make sure Julian's okay before kind of checking on Sofie, whatever. If Sophie's examining the Nessa, am I saying it right?
Nisa.
Nisa.
Now, Bill, for the greatest challenge of all, when you introduce the father, what was his name? Nobody help him. Bill has to learn this on his own. It's Matthias.
God damn it. Fuck.
You genuinely don't know. I didn't mean to put you on the spot that bad.
Oh, Father Xavier. Oh, Duffy. Father Duffy.
Nailed it.
Wait, don't we know a Father Duffy? Haven't we heard about a Father Duffy?
You have. Aaron. Sofie, when the flawless Lucius Jensen introduces this priest, you're like, wait a minute. That name. I've heard that name before. At Halloween. There was admittedly a lot going on at the Halloween party, so the three of you may not have easily remembered it. But Father Bjorn asked if you can keep an eye out for a Father Duffy, who was supposed to arrive and never did.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Just want to point out the irony of Aaron remembering this out of everyone. Thank you.
Can I just pause for a brief aside? And this is a hilarious yet embarrassing truth. When I heard Brian first say Father Xavier, I'm like, I'm not going to remember that. Duffy, I'm like, oh, I have a friend. I have a very good friend from college named Duffy. There's no way I'm going to forget Duffy. And proceeded to forget Duffy.
I wish you'd said that on mic at the time. You're like, oh, I'll remember this name.
No, it was. There's a reason why I did not say that on mic.
I can't wait until we get to the part where we meet Father Duff McKagan. God, that'd be fucking great.
Now, a couple of important questions. Bill, are you checking out the gory body in that stall?
Listen, before you answer that, Bill, remembering how Dr. J and Julian reacted to the troll and how Julian has just reacted now, Sofie will stand in front of the door and just shake her head at Dr. J. I'll tell you about it. It's not worth investigating. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No.
He will just stare blinkingly at Sofie, telling him that he does not need to go see and investigate what might be in there. That Sofie will just tell him. He's like, no. You'll just...
All right. I was trying to save you a fear check and another mental condition, but do your thing.
All right, Bill. You also have a talent that will help you here, as you do get a bonus for seeing dead bodies.
Yes, Army Medic. +2 on fear test versus corpses.
Make that fear test for me.
So this is I will do logic. Oh, well, out of 6 dice, I have 1 success.
I got good news. That's all you needed.
Huzzah.
Woo-hoo!
So, thanks to your training, you've seen some pretty nasty corpses. This one probably ranks in the top 30 or 40. Like, it's no top 10.
Like I said, you two are into this shit.
Maybe it's the hat. Maybe that's why I'm finding this a little extra gruesome.
That and, like, the rotted food spilled out of his hand. The fact that he looks like a very short old man.
But yeah, as I go in there, and assuming now Sophie's kind of, would be at the entrance of the stall, kind of with a "I told you so" pose. I will just kind of look back over. Do you notice anything? Anything? I mean, when I say the phrase "out of the ordinary," I understand. I would expect you know what I mean.
I mean, this is conjecture so far, but it seems that perhaps this creature was murdered in aid of the shenanigans being enacted in the cellar of the main house. If they were trying to enact some evil and or ensnare a Vossen, it's likely that this fellow would have gotten in their way. As he's the guardian of the farm, he wouldn't be amenable to any sort of things like that, I wouldn't think.
Don't get me wrong, this is very interesting, but it's just doesn't make this any of this any simpler. If you didn't hear, I spoke with the father. He's down here now. You might want to speak with him. It seems like he's been here a while, and one of the people in his party who disappeared seems to be the last that was with him. They also heard a voice from the mists, so you might want to speak with him about that.
Now, before you do, I want to interject with one other quick thing for Sofie. Aaron, remind me, what is your learning at this point?
I think it's 5. Yeah.
Okay, so because you are so learned and an academic and a scholar of the Vossen, I'm going to give you something for free. I can be generous at times. Everyone was looking at me incredulous.
But at what cost?
Don't worry about it. So Sofie is aware that there is an item frequently carried by the Nisa. The porridge that they eat, if consumed by a human being, would temporarily grant that person great and mighty strength. That said, in this case, the Nisa's porridge looks somewhat unwell, so you're not sure what would happen to a person who ate it.
Well, he's clearly been dead some time, so perhaps someone ate some of it at the time that he was murdered. Although we did just hear some very loud noises, and then there was no correspondingly large creature in here when we got here.
I will also say, given Dr. Jensen is investigating this body and has medicine 5, I believe. Is that correct, Bill?
That is correct.
This body's been dead a while. Like years. Probably at least 30.
Huh.
Well, geez, I'm sure that's not significant at all.
So, Aaron, for your information, that Nisa's porridge is a magic item. A PC can consume that and gain a significant bonus on a force test. Typically, there will be a risk of using that item, which is that you would anger the Nisa. In this case, probably not a concern given his current state, but given that it's been sitting for 30 years, you don't know what would happen to someone if they ate that.
It's just penicillin. It's fine.
Aaron, Sofie kind of steps back from that Nisa, looks at that gross porridge on the ground, and does kind of briefly consider, like, as much as she doesn't want to think about what it would taste like, terrible mouthfeel, there still might be some magic in that, though. And depending on how desperate you all are, that might be worth picking up. But she puts that to the back of her mind and spends a little bit of time chatting with Father Xavier Duffy, and he relates the story of his lost companions, and that detail sticks out to you. A sudden hoof print found by the water's edge. That gets Sophie's mind going. There's only one thing that could be.
That's totally the neck.
And it's not the neck. But we'll find out what it is next time.
Next time!
All right, thank you all so much, and I cannot wait for our next session.
God, me either.
It's a cow, isn't it? It's a cow. It's a cow, right? Definitely a cow.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. Our theme song is Myths and Legends by Robert Bruckmeyer, which is playing right now. Our music is by Andreas Lundström, and you can hear more of his work on the Sweden Rolls podcast. Link in the show notes. Our editor is Hannah Cheney. If you're enjoying this show, please take 2 minutes to rate and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I know every podcast says it, but it really does make a difference and helps us continue to grow the show. Finally, remember the motto of the library. Fear gives way to knowledge. Knowledge gives way to wisdom. And wisdom gives way to the truth. Until next time.